Something that gives every IT person headaches regularly are printers. Printers and printing can be such a pain as with any device. Printers are especially susceptible to power fluctuations and are in constant need of some sort of service, it seems like. And most of our printers these days will give you the warning. It'll tell you that there's a paper jam, paper's out, ink is low. But there's all sorts of issues that can happen to a printer that can sometimes be easily resolved. Uh, just checking a few things. So if you want to take a look at the printers that are installed, once again, Windows machine, it's going to be different depending on your machine. But for me right here, we're looking at settings. You can find it in the control panel, but as I have right here, several options are already displayed. You may also have printers displayed as a part of the menu, as an extension of the main menu right here. But if I click on the printers option, you might have printers and devices. It's going to show you your printers, your devices, everything that's connected to the computer or at one time was connected to your computer. And you can see I have quite a few printers that are connected or were connected. The green check tells me that that's my default, and you can make any printer the default printer. This one is grayed out because it's not in range, as I'm not in the suite at the moment, but that is my default printer. But if you want to take a look at what's going on at any printer, you can right click on it, and you can see right there is one of your options set as the default printer. That's straight from a right click. If you want to change the default from one printer to the next, you never have to. That's just the first printer that pops up. When you click print, that's the printer that pops up. There's always a little arrow to the right of the printer. You drop that or click on that drop down arrow. It's going to show you all your available printers. Default is going to be the first one selected. But if I want to see what's happening, I click on open, and this is the printer queue. If anything was going on here, I would have the document name, the status, blah, 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 the whole way across. And the queue can get very long, particularly if it's a networked printer where people from all over the place are sending jobs to it. And so there can be a bunch of different jobs waiting to go right here. So often the first thing that happens is the printer, you'll be in Word, you click print, and nothing happens. So then you go back to Word, you click print again, and print again, and print again, and print again. And nothing's happening. Well, if you go check your printer, you're going to see most likely that all of those documents are lined up in the queue waiting to go. The status is going to tell you what's going on, and a lot of times it could be right here there's an error or something. So this first document in the queue is errored out, can't be processed, and is stuck right there. So now everything else behind it is just waiting. Well, you can come into this document, right click on it. Oh, excuse me. If there was a document in here, you can right click on it, highlight it, delete it. Sometimes that's all it'll take. But then remember, you've got all these other ones behind it, and it's going to print that same document every single time that you hit print. So the first thing that you want to do is if you click print and nothing happens, go to your printer, open, and take a look. See what's going on in here. Make sure that it's not errored out. Because again, the more times you click print, it's stored in the queue, and eventually it's going to take care of that, and it's going to print that document 6 times, and that's not something you want to do. So if you have documents in here that are stuck, you see them, don't know what to do about them, a lot of that is we mentioned RAM earlier. Where you're talking about some of these things that could be trapped in that process, and the printer can't deal with them, or the computer can't deal with them. Neither one has any idea what to do. It's errored out, can't move forward. Well, you can, depending on which side is having the issue, and sometimes that's difficult to tell. You can shut down your computer, restart, And oftentimes that'll do it right there. The printer will just, as soon as everything wakes up again, the printer has its cue and it starts printing. But there are other times where the printer itself is the one that's having the issue. And the only way to really clear some of this, because you could come in and try to delete it, and it'll say it's deleting. But I've had many cases where it just sits there and it attempts to delete, 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 and it never does. It's just stuck in the queue. Printer can't figure out what to do with it. It's done. So in order to clear that, it works the same way. You need to clear the power. So you power the printer down. Now, printers, like other devices these days, might hold on to that power, might maintain it. So powering it down is not always going to resolve it. You have to power it down and then disconnect the power cable from the wall. Not the network cable, not the USB cable, however you connect it to your computer, but the actual power cable. You can take it out the back of the printer or out the back of the wall or out the wall socket, which is usually the best because some of the power cables these days will maintain that charge for a little while as well. So you disconnect it physically from the wall, completely power it down. When it comes back up, you're going to have an empty queue, and with any luck, that will resolve your issue, and you can go about printing once again. So I'd say a good 50% of what you'll deal with are power-related issues, RAM-related issues that can be cleared by either rebooting your computer, powering your printer off, or the two combined. Say 30% of your issues are paper related, and paper jams, you're out of paper, and these days your printer is usually going to give you that status warning, although you can find it by looking into the queue itself. And then lastly, you might have some maintenance issues, like for example, if the print starts getting lighter and lighter, or it stops printing a certain color and it's not telling you that the ink itself is out. You can check, and again, depending on your printer itself, the software, you may have some pretty in-your-face software that'll tell you that you need to do this, that, or the other. But from the queue itself, or right-clicking on any printer, you also have properties. And usually in the properties, a bunch of different tabs, but you're going to have a preferences button somewhere. Click on the preferences, and then in my case for this WF3540 series printer, there is a maintenance tab, and on that maintenance tab, nozzle check, head cleaning, all of these different things that will hopefully correct some of those ink display issues. Usually the printer itself, especially if you have a little LCD readout on the printer, there's going to be a maintenance option there, and those maintenance things check the nozzles, because particularly if it's an inkjet printer, that those jets will get, they'll get gunked up on occasion. They need to be cleaned. Often I'll see people to go out and buy brand new cartridges, spend all this money on the cartridges, put them in, and it's the same situation because they didn't run any of the maintenance. And you can find it in a variety of different locations, but in this case, usually you'll find something if you go to your properties, preferences, and then maintenance. So before you go out and buy anything new, make sure there's not a maintenance option on your printer. And a lot of times you'll have to do these things multiple times. The head cleaning, for example, you run the head cleaning, it'll give you a printout, and that printout will show you if it needs to be cleaned again. And I would say 9 out of 10 times I'll have to do this 2 or 3 times before the heads are clean.